Hello friends, I'm Big Matt. Today we're going to be calibrating a TEAC A-3340S Reel to Reel. We're going to begin with the head alignment, playback head alignment. I have an MRL tape loaded onto the machine, and we're monitoring the output of the tape from the headphone jacks. Got that going over to the Pioneer system, and I've got the output of the RCA jacks on the rear of the machine going into this oscilloscope. We'll be listening or looking at and listening to the sound coming from the MRL tape. It's going to be a sine. There's going to be a sine wave on both of these channels, left and the right channels. And they should be of equal value when I press play. And that signal's good. We're going to check the alignment by adding those two signals together, and we should see a signal that looks like a line tilted at about a 45-degree angle, and it should be a relatively stable line. So we're going to press play again, and that's a good signal. I'm going to move the tape a little bit, and you can see what would happen if the heads were out of alignment. The signal will start looking like this, but that's a good signal. If it were if the machine were out of alignment a little bit, you want to do an azimuth adjustment, and that's done usually with this screw here. This is the playback head, so you want to adjust this screw here, and I'll maladjust it just for a second as we're listening to that tape, and show you what you might see if somebody's been in there and tinkered with the alignment. Okay, let's press play again. We're getting a good signal, and if I twist that adjustment a little bit, you can see it go out of whack a little bit. I'm going to bring it back down to where it should be. There
500 hertz.
One more time, just to double check. Yeah, and that's a good signal, and that's really all there is to it for the playback head alignment. Up next is the specified output calibration. To do that, we're going to use the same tape and using that same signal. On the 3340S, it has two sets of cards. They're identical. The inner set is for tracks 1 and 3, left and right channels. The outer set is for tracks 2 and 4, left and right channels. We're going to be working on tracks 1 and 3, or channel 1 and 3. And for the specified output, we're going to play that same tone that we heard earlier, but instead of monitoring on the no scope, we're going to use this test set to look for a 0 dB signal at the meter. And to make an adjustment, we're monitoring one channel at a time. Right now I'm monitoring the left channel. And so if I press, one more thing, the book tells us to set the outputs to maximum and then look for a specific reading and then calibrate it to there. Then it tells us to move the output switches to the 2 o'clock position, and then adjust the I think it's VR 201, 203 to where the output is 0 dB. Instead of going through all those steps, I'm just going to put the output controls at this number 8, because it's got a larger indicator on it, and we're going to make that the specified output calibration, and we're going to bring the signal down to 0 dB at that point. So right now when I play a tape, or play the calibration tape, we're going to look for a 0 dB signal, and it's well past the 0 dB, it's about plus 2 dB. So I'm going to have to bring VR 201 and 203 down. These guys right
500
here.
hertz.
So rewind the tape a little bit, and I'm going to calibrate VR 201. And we'll monitor the signal on the test set as I'm doing it. We'll bring it down just a little bit to 0 dB. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing for channel 3 or track 3. This is the right channel. Again, it's these two pots right here, one here and the other one is over here for the right channel. And you do the same thing on channels 2 and 4 with the outer boards, these boards here, as opposed to the inner boards for tracks 1 and 3. So we're going to hit play again, and we're going to adjust this for 0 dB. So bring it down just a little bit to 0 dB. Okay. And so now we have the specified output calibrated. We're going to leave these guys at this position. And again, I'll leave it there because that 8 has a little wider indicator on it, and we're going to use that as the specified output of this 3340S. Next up is the meter calibration. We need to set the VU meters to 0 dB as we're playing the tape. That adjustment is on the VR 202 and 204. They're located here and here for the left and the right channels. We'll start with VR 202. Hopefully my camera will stay in position. Okay, I'm going to press play on the tape, and we're going to adjust it for just the left channel for 0 dB. It's a little low, so we're going to bring it up just a hair. And we're going to do the same for the right channel. This is VR 204. Just going to bring it up to 0 dB. Next up is the minimum input level calibration. We're going to be using the oscillator function on this test set. Sending over a signal, 400 hertz tone at -18 dB. That's what's going into the machine. I've got the line inputs to maximum for channels 1 and 3. And when we send that signal back to the meter, monitor the input, we should be about 0 dB. Take just a second. And we should be at 0 dB. We're just a little bit shy of that. This is for the right channel. So I'm going to adjust VR. I'm going to adjust VR 304 for the right channel. That's located here. And VR 301 is up here for the left channel. So I'm going to adjust VR 304 slightly so we can achieve that 0 dB level for the right channel. The other way, up to 0 dB. Okay. Next, I'm going to change my cables from the right channel to the left channel. I'm going to look for that same 0 dB signal. A little bit low, so we're going to go up to VR 301. And again, that's on that same board at the top. I'm just going to crank it up just slightly. A little bit more. Okay. And that's this minimum line input adjustment. Next up is the specified line input adjustment. Very similar adjustment. Instead of using the -18 signal, we need to use a -8 input signal. So I'm going to crank it up a little bit. Reference to. So we're going to bring it up to -8 dB. It's going to get a little loud. That's about -8, and we want to read 0 dB from the output of the 3340S. So switch this over to the monitor, the output of the tape deck, and then we're going to bring back these are the specified line input adjustments. It's right at 6.5 on the left and the right channels, and that's going to be the specified line input position, and we don't mess with those for the rest of the calibration. Next up, we have to do the VU meter calibration again for the record side. The adjustment is VR302 here and VR305 located here on the third board over. VR302 and 305. We have that same signal coming into the machine. It's minus 8 dB. The book says minus 18, but it's supposed to be it's supposed to read minus 8. So we're almost at 0 dB. We're close to 0 dB. We can bring those up just a little bit. Start with the left channel, VR302. And we're just going to bring it up just a hair to 0 dB. 1 second, found it. Okay. And then we'll move down to VR305. And just bring it up to 0 dB. Next, we're going to check the alignment of the record head. I've got a Scotch 203 tape loaded onto the machine. I'm going to be recording this signal that I'm generating from the oscillator. We're monitoring that signal on the oscope. We see those two familiar sine waves we saw earlier. This time it's coming from the scope instead of from the oscillator instead of the tape. We can see the frequency change, and we want to see that same signal we saw earlier where it was like a little diagonal line at a 45-degree angle when we are in the record mode. So we're monitoring the output of the tape deck at the oscillator. Now I'm going to begin recording that signal. That's what's going on to the tape. This is the actual recording, and we're going to see if it's in phase, and it is in perfect phase. This is what's going on to the tape. This is the actual recording itself. I haven't calibrated the levels or the bias yet, so that signal will look at the same amplitude a little later in the video, but this is a very good signal. That means the head playback and the record heads are in perfect alignment. I'm going to move the tape a little bit before the playback head, and we should see a little variation. That's after the record head before the playback head. But this is when the playback and the record head are in perfect alignment. The tape's tracking the way it should be, and we're getting that perfect signal telling us that the playback and the record heads are in perfect alignment. Up next is the bias adjustment. We've got a 400 hertz tone at minus 8 dB going into the machine. We're going to begin recording this signal on that same Scotch tape. Okay, this is the recorded signal, and this is the output level from the deck. I'm going to be adjusting these two variable capacitors, and it asks us to maximize the reading on the VU meter scale, and then drop it back 0.5 dB. So, and I'm going to start with the left channel, and I'm going to rotate this variable capacitor clockwise until it reaches its maximum amplitude, and a little further. It maxes out about 1.5, so we're going to bring it down to 2. And that's just over biasing the deck for this with this Scotch tape. Now I'm going to do the right channel same way. I'm going to turn the variable capacitor clockwise until it reaches its maximum. Turn it back counterclockwise and I'm going to begin again. I'm rotating the variable capacitor clockwise until it reaches its maximum amplitude. This one is about 1. So I can get the highest reading. It's 0.5, almost 0.5, it's 0.7, 0.5. So we're going to bring it back a little bit past 1. And we should have it right there. Next is going to be the record level adjustments. That's VR303. Got a few VR303 and VR306 directly above it. And we're going to adjust those for 0 dB on the output. Right now, we can see that we're getting it's recording a little bit low. I'm looking at channels 2 and 4. We've got 0 dB going in, and slightly less than that at the output. So we're going to adjust VR303 and VR306 to bring those guys up to 0 dB. Starting with VR303 for the left channel. And then VR306 to bring it up to 0 dB. Okay, so we're at 0 dB. So when we go to the input, the output should be the same. That's the input, and that's the output. And because no one wants to listen to recorded test tones, I'm going to do a quick demo of the TEAC A-3340S. Recording from my PC and listen to the song over the Pioneer system you see in the background. We're recording on channels 1 and 3. Again, this is the TEAC A-3340S Reel.